I feel like I'd have a great time doing that.
It would be a lot of fun.
That would be fun.
I can't believe more of them don't fall right out. That looks so fun.
They probably do. Maybe they just don't show it.
All right, well, we are tracking the tropics heading into the afternoon. The odds for development have held steady at 40% over the next 7 days, but a 0% chance for development over the next few. This is nothing you would have to worry about through Halloween. In fact, the broad area of low pressure hasn't even developed yet. So that is where we would be looking for the potential of a tropical depression heading into this weekend or early next week. So the next name on the list would be Patty, but it is simply far too far out to determine any sort of specific track or intensity. So I'll show you the European forecast model so you can see what we're going to be monitoring very closely over the southwestern Caribbean. We're looking at this broad area of low pressure, disorganized showers and storms to form sometime in the next few days. But then this is by Sunday morning. Generally speaking, this is when we're likely to start to see some gradual development, but notice we're still talking south of Cuba, still talking in the Caribbean, even into the upcoming weekend and the first official weekend of November. So from there, it would generally be drifting northeast, but the reason this spot is still favorable for development is because it's one of those last pockets with sea surface temperatures in the mid-80s, so still very warm and warm enough to support the possibility of tropical development. This is very rare heading into November to see any strong systems developing. We're likely to see a tropical depression, maybe a storm, but as we head into November, you really generally start to see activity tapering off, and even more so when you're talking about here in Florida. Of course, too soon to determine if we could see anything or at all, or if it even forms right now in the Caribbean. But take a look just for some perspective of the only 3 hurricanes on record since 1851 that made landfall in Florida. Nicole back in 2022, and then Kate in 1985, the Yankee hurricane back in 1935. That's it. 3 hurricanes, and notice none of them were major storms, either a Cat 1 or a Category 2. So that's why it was so rare just a few years ago to see even Hurricane Nicole form in November, if you remember that. Here was that path, and it's also important to note that out of these 3 hurricanes that made landfall in November in Florida, none were right here in Southwest Florida. Even Hurricane Nicole came in as an East Coast storm. So we're going to be monitoring it very closely, but chances for development still fairly low and certainly only at a 40% over the next week.